Are you struggling to navigate the process of obtaining a death certificate in Montana? Well, stick around because we're about to unlock a complete step-by-step guide to demystify this whole bureaucratic process. We are going to break it all down into clear, actionable steps. Look, losing a loved one is incredibly hard, right? And suddenly, on top of everything else, you're faced with a mountain of bureaucratic paperwork. It can feel really stressful. Honestly, pretty daunting. But I promise you, by the end of our time together today, you'll have a clear roadmap that simplifies this entire task. You're going to be fully equipped to handle this smoothly. Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our agenda for today. 1. Why you need it. 2. Who can request one. 3. Required documents and fees. 4. How to apply. And finally, 5. Tips and processing times.
Moving into Section 1, Why You Need It. Let's talk about why this is an absolute legal necessity.
You know, it's actually wild to see just how many everyday scenarios absolutely require an official death certificate. It is literally the key to unlocking official transactions after a passing. Think about it. Probate courts need it to settle an estate. Insurance companies, they demand it to process life insurance claims. You'll need it to close out bank accounts, apply for Social Security survivor benefits, or even just to transfer ownership of a car or real estate through the Montana Motor Vehicle Division. Without this piece of paper, those processes just freeze completely. Now, here's a crucial point. You have to know exactly what type of document to ask for. There is a huge difference between a certified copy and an informational copy. If you get the wrong one, you're looking at some major delays. A certified copy is a legal document, complete with security features, and it's used for all those official financial and legal transactions we just went over. An informational copy, though, is generally just for personal, historical, or genealogical research. So for settling estates and handling finances, you will absolutely need that certified copy. And when you're looking at the source of these records, you want to keep an eye out for the official branding of the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services, or the DPHS. Get this, they have maintained a permanent public record of every single death filed in Montana since 1907. When you get an officially certified copy from them, it's the real deal, featuring state seals, watermarks, and it's printed on secure, tamper-resistant paper signed by the state registrar. All right, on to Section 2. Who can request one? Let's look at restricted access. Let's actually walk through a real-life scenario to see how this plays out in practice. Imagine a surviving spouse needs to claim life insurance benefits. First, they identify that need. Next, because they're an authorized family member, they have to gather proof of their relationship to the deceased, something like a marriage license or a birth certificate, especially if their ID doesn't immediately establish that connection. Finally, they submit this proof right along with their application. So, who exactly makes the cut here? Well, eligible requesters in Montana include a spouse, parent, child, sibling, grandparent, legal representative, or funeral director. But wait, what if you aren't on that list? Let's say you're an extended family member just trying to help out. In that case, you have to submit a notarized affidavit or a sworn statement confirming you're authorized to do this. A legal power of attorney document also works perfectly as proof of your authority to request the record. Okay, Section 3, Required Documents and Fees. This is critical preparation. When it comes to ID, Montana has rules that are flexible but also pretty strict. You basically have two options. You can either provide one form of valid primary identification, like a current driver's license or a passport, or if you don't have that handy, you have to provide two valid forms of secondary identification. Bottom line, you have to prove exactly who you are to access these sensitive records. Now, please pay close attention here because this is where so many people make a really simple but incredibly frustrating mistake. When you submit your ID, you absolutely must provide a clear, readable copy of both sides of your identification, and it must include your signature. Forgetting to copy the back of a driver's license is such a common error, and it will 100% result in a rejected application and completely slow down your processing. Let's talk about the cost for a second. Interestingly, there are some minor discrepancies floating around in the published information regarding the exact base fee. Info from the Montana DPHS and Vital Records Online lists a fee of $12 for a certified copy. But other national and state directories, like the CDC, list the cost at $16. To avoid sending the wrong amount, which again causes massive delays, we highly advise that you call the state office directly at 406-444-2685 just to verify the current fees before you make out your check or money order to Montana Vital Records. Now, I want to give you a really crucial cost-saving tip. $10. That is the cost for each additional copy of the death certificate, provided you order them at the exact same time as your initial request. Remember all those scenarios we discussed earlier? The probate court, the bank, the insurance company. You are almost certainly going to need multiple certified copies. Ordering them all up front saves you money and a ton of time compared to placing separate orders down the line.
Moving along to Section 4, How to Apply. Let's check out your submission channels.
So you have a few choices for submitting this whole thing. You can go the traditional route and just mail your completed application, your ID copies, and your check or money order to the DPHS Office of Vital Statistics at P.O. Box 4210 in Helena, Montana. Or, if you prefer the speed of the internet, Montana contracts with 2 authorized online vendors, VitalCheck and Vital Records Online, or VRO. Just keep in mind that while online processing lets you use a credit card and might offer faster shipping, these vendors do tack on additional service surcharges.
And that brings us to a very strong warning directly from the state itself. Montana specifically contracts with VitalCheck and VRO to, quote, ensure privacy and protect applicants from predatory third-party websites charging unauthorized brokerage fees. Seriously, be careful out there, guys. If you choose to apply online, only use these 2 officially authorized channels so you don't get scammed by unofficial third parties trying to charge you completely unnecessary fees. Let's wrap things up with Section 5. Tips and processing times. It's time to manage expectations.
The timelines here can definitely vary based on a few factors, mainly the state's current order volume. If you apply by mail, some estimates suggest your request is usually processed and mailed out within 2 weeks. However, other sources indicate that current processing times can stretch anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. Also, note that rush processing isn't always available, though you might be able to pay extra for expedited return shipping. Honestly, the best way to keep track of this journey is to purchase mail tracking when you send your initial application out on day 1. Okay, let's do a quick recap of some insider tips to guarantee a smooth process. First, always double-check your application for simple typos. A single misspelled name can just halt the whole process in its tracks. Ensure absolutely no documents, like the back of your ID, are missing. Order those extra copies up front to save yourself a headache later. Purchase that mail tracking so you know exactly when the state gets your request. And please always use authorized channels. Remember, one simple error can literally double your wait time and force you to pay shipping costs all over again. So, I want to leave you with this question. Are you fully prepared to secure your Montana Vital records without unnecessary delays or hidden fees? I really hope this explainer has shown you that yes, you absolutely are. While it seems like a giant puzzle at first, proper preparation makes this task entirely manageable. If you found this structured breakdown helpful, please share this explainer with others who might be facing a similar situation so they can navigate it just as smoothly. Finally, please note that this explainer is intended for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal advice. Procedures and policies may change, so always refer to official Montana state resources or consult a legal professional for the most current procedures. Thank you so much for learning with us today.